I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the MrEliMac channel. I'm your host MrEliMac, and as I stated last week, what if the MCU was the DCCU is finally back with Phase 5. It has been the long-awaited phase to be released since Phase 5 even started, with everyone wanting me to talk about it before it finished. And I very much had the priority of, I want a phase to finish before I even start it, and that's why we are finally here. Ironheart has come out, which means we are at the end of Phase 5. And even in just a few weeks, I think actually next week, Fantastic Four is going to come out, so we're going to get the start of Phase 6. But before we can get even into the start of Phase 6, I got to talk about what I would do with Phase 5. So, if you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. That way you can be up to date with all the videos I have here on the channel. Also, don't forget to hit the notification bell. That way you can be notified whenever a new video like this comes your way. So, without any further ado, you've all waited long enough. Let's get into Phase 5. Starting off with the first installment of Marvel's Phase 5, which was Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. And for the analog for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, it is the Atom and Hawkgirl Micromania. And for the plot of the Atom and Hawkgirl Micromania, we see Ryan Choi, Kendra Saunders, Ray Palmer, and Carter Hall finding themselves trapped in the Microverse, where we discover the inhabitants are in conflict with a man calling himself Mobius. Mobius is also joined by his right-hand man, Silbert Rudine, aka Dwarf Star, who served as the main antagonist of the first Atom movie. And the four heroes must work together with the inhabitants of the Microverse to stop Mobius from opening a portal to the antimatter universe. And the heroes would defeat Mobius, and Mobius is distorted into a void that would teleport him unknowingly into the antimatter universe. And then after the defeat of Mobius, the heroes would get transported back from the Microverse into the real world. Again, I'm just gonna say this right now, I'm not gonna go over a lot of arcs for these characters. I'm just gonna be doing the basic plots. That way you will all get an idea of what the story is. I should have mentioned that at the top, but I might as well mention it now. I'm just going to be going over the basic plot of the story. Some of them are going to be short, some of them are going to be long, but overall, this is what the story is. And for the mid-credits scene, it is going to be revealed that another Mobius was watching the events of the film transpire, with two other Mobiuses standing behind him. The three plan for the future of the multiverse, because the King the Conqueror analog is the Anti-Monitor, so I thought, like how Ant-Man the Wasp set up a lot of King stuff, let's do that here. Let's set up a lot of Anti-Monitor stuff, and we'll just see what happens. We all know what happened, so yeah, that's where we're at now. But the post-credit scene would show Black Adam standing next to Scandal Savage, watching on as a man known as Mo B. Cassius is performing in front of an audience. That is your setup for Black Adam Season 2, and yeah, that is also the plot of Ant-Man, or the Atom and Hawkgirl Micromania. I didn't have really a lot of clear idea what to do with that one. I very much just looked at the Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania plot and went, okay, how can I adjust that to work with DC? And that's sort of how I got to this plot. And yeah, that's that movie. And then moving on to the next installment of the franchise, which is the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 analog, which is Green Lantern Corps Emerald Twilight. This is one that I have sort of been preparing myself for a while, even when I first established that the Green Lantern Corps are going to be serving as the Guardians of the Galaxy analog. I had sort of like a 3-film structure for the movie, just like James Gunn did, sort of. So I thought, it's work, it's appropriate. And also, this honestly may be one that a lot of people may hate on me for. I am ready to get a lot of hate for this one. But let's get into the actual plot. Years have passed after the events of Justice League Rebirth, and the Green Lantern Corps are still reeling from those events. John Stewart, in particular, is still feeling the pain of losing his friend Bruce Wayne. In the meantime, Chip receives a transmission from Sodom Yat about a massacre in Sector 666. The team of John Stewart, Kyle Rayner, Arisia Robb, Chip, and Kilowog go out to check out what happened and discovers that the only surviving person of the sector is Atrocitus. While there, they see Sinestro, and then they try to arrest him, but he just simply surrenders himself. And then there's some exposition moments that mentions a being of pure fear, that they're the ones that did this atrocity to Sector 666, and it was not one of the Sinestro Corps members. Atrocitus would then awaken and lash out and want to kill all the Green Lanterns, wanting to kill the Green Lantern Corps. And confused, Sodom Yat, Guy Gardner, Jessica Cruz, Kat Matui, and Simon Baz investigate why Atrocitus would want to kill the Green Lanterns. And then they would soon discover an injured, this team would soon discover an injured near-death Hal Jordan. And Hal would explain that a rogue Guardian caused all of this damage. And that Guardian's name is Scar. And she wants Death to take over the universe. However, our main Lantern team, which is the main heroes of John Stewart, Kyle, Arisia, Chip, and Kilowog, would discover the dead body of Scar with bite marks all over her body. And it would soon be discovered that Hal Jordan has been possessed by the Avatar of Fear, Parallax. And then later, it would be revealed that after years of being possessed, Hal would have gone mad and had started destroying different sectors. Hal Jordan is very much the main antagonist of the film, sort of hearkening to the actual story of Green Lantern Emerald Twilight, where Hal Jordan is the main antagonist of that story as well. So I wanted to put this together. Also, it's the reason why I've had John Stewart as my main Green Lantern for a long time, because I was planning on doing this for Hal Jordan, have Hal be a Green Lantern that was missing throughout. He was just labeled as missing, and this is when we discover, oh, we found him. Oh, this is why he was missing. And Hal would destroy the planet of Oa, and it would come down to a final battle, particularly between Hal and John, with John getting the upper hand and purging Hal of the Parallax entity. And after this, because of the horrors and atrocities that he had done, Hal would seclude himself and he would put himself in exile, and the Green Lantern Corps would begin to station themselves on the Lantern planet Mogo. Mogo, the living planet, who is a Green Lantern. All the Green Lanterns would start to transition to making Mogo the main planet of the Green Lantern Corps. Ultimately, because of the events of this film and also because of the events of Justice League Rebirth, John would decide to pass his ring on and he would retire as a Lantern. The mid-credits scene would show Kyle now in more of a leadership role, leading the rebuilding efforts of Mogo. And the post-credits scene would show John Stewart arriving back on Earth, ready to start a new life. Throughout the film, we would see Kyle Rayner start to grow into more of a leadership position, wanting to, with John very much pushing him to be more of a leader to certain missions. And that's sort of the direction where we would be seeing Kyle going into a leadership role, whereas John is very much look, I need to just retire now. I've gone through so much of this stuff and I just can't do it anymore. And that's sort of the direction we'd go, especially with the idea of Hal and John sort of being the main two Lanterns for a long time, and then this is sort of our transition of getting Kyle to be that main Lantern. And yeah, that is the Green Lantern Corps Emerald Twilight. And then we move on to the next installment of Phase 5, which is the first TV show of Phase 5, which is the Secret Invasion analog, Invasion. And the plot of Invasion would be Steve Trevor has retired many years ago, but suddenly an alien race known as the Dominators invade small pockets of the government. Steve teams with the Princess of Tamaran, Coriander, aka Starfire, to stop this invasion. And they soon discover that Starfire's sister, Commander, aka Blackfire, is working with the Dominators. By the way, this would be the first appearance of Blackfire, so we're getting some stuff from the Titans lore in here as well. And so Steve and Starfire would assemble a team of agents, Lieutenant Etta Candy, Sasha Bordeaux, and Dale Gunn, to take down these invaders. And then John Henry Irons would also appear in an episode with intel on the Dominators using technology he obtained from the Fortress of Solitude. I am someone that did not like Secret Invasion, and so when I was finding out an analog for Secret Invasion and making it Invasion, I was thinking, how can I make this a little bit cleaner and make this a little bit better? This is the best I could come up with because, again, Secret Invasion is not good at all. That's the one Marvel property I just hate the most. And I tried my hardest to make it good. And also, this is an opportunity to have Steve Trevor as the main character. Because we haven't had Steve appear in anything since the second Wonder Woman movie, actually. So this is his first time appearing as a major character, and so I think, hopefully, this is good enough to be better than Secret Invasion. But that is it for Invasion. Let's move over to the next installment of Phase 5, which is the Loki Season 2 analog, which is Black Adam Season 2. And for the plot of Black Adam Season 2, after the death of Mobius in the Atom and Hawkgirl Micromania, which we're establishing that was the death of Mobius, and we're ignoring what happened in the mid-credit scene because that's what they did in real life, the organization controlling the multiverse's activity starts to lose its tether. Scandal Savage calls upon Black Adam to help, telling him the fate of the multiverse depends on him. With Scandal, they discover a human version of Mobius named Moby Cassius. They bring him to help restore order, but not without trouble from Isis and Osiris. The two feel betrayed by Black Adam, but Adam tells them that the multiverse could die, and they don't care. They just want to be free of Mobius. And so there would be a fight that would ultimately leave Black Adam stuck in the bleed. Here, Black Adam would see all of the multiverse and the damage done to it. He'd even find himself getting sucked into an Earth where the Wizard is still alive and not looking at Adam as a threat. Adam and the Wizard would then have a heart-to-heart, with Adam telling the Wizard all of the evil that he has done. But the Wizard would tell him that it just takes one act of pure heroism to right all the wrongs in the world. And so Adam would find a way to re-enter the bleed and get back to the organization. Adam is able to stop the fight. He discovers a way to save the multiverse and flies into the bleed and cries out, Shazam. And with the power of Shazam and the power of the multiverse combined, the bleed regulates itself, leaving Black Adam to be a conduit for the multiverse's stability. So this is my way of doing the Loki thing for all of us, and doing like the God of Stories moment in season 2 of Loki. This is my way of trying to give Black Adam a full-on redemption for all the evil that he had done, and even trying to find a way to make him more of a heroic character than what was previously established earlier, and even more of a heroic character than he is in the comics. Like in the comics, he's still very much, I am anti-hero. I am willing to kill the bad guys if need be. This is a way of like, no, he is a full-on like hero in this moment. He saves the multiverse, for lack of a better term. Also, we would wrap up the Moby Cassius story and have Moby Cassius moved back into his timeline, and yeah, that would be, we're done with Mobius and the Anti-Monitor storyline. So that's where we would go. And that is it for Black Adam Season 2. Now we move on to the Marvel's analog, which is Sentinels of Magic. And for Sentinels of Magic, we would start when Zatanna was younger, and she always knew of a dark sorceress named Allura, no relation to Kara Zor-El or the Allura from Superman mythology. Her father stopped her when she was just a child, but she is now back and more powerful than before. Zatanna is forced to work with Rachel Roth, aka Raven, and Amy Winston, aka Amethyst. Raven's dark magic helps against Allura's magic, and the Gem World's magic brings light to that darkness. And they travel across different magical realms to defeat Allura, but at the cost of Raven getting sucked through a portal. Amethyst, through Andrew Bennett, and through Timothy Hunter, discovers that there are more young heroes out there who need guidance. Zatanna continues to perform, but also still thinks of her father and Raven's sacrifice. In the mid-credit scene, though, we see Amethyst meeting with Mia Dearden, aka Speedy, about putting a team together, hinting at Young Justice potentially being a thing in the future. And the post-credit scene would show Raven awakening in a hospital bed with the visage of a woman looking like her mother greeting her. Raven tries to open up to the woman, but the woman doesn't recognize her. The woman instead introduces herself as Adriana Tereshkova, aka Void, and a large being would enter the room introducing himself as Maul, bringing forth the Wildcats into the MCU for the first time and start getting us ready for that little stuff that's going to be happening in the future with the Wildcats and the DCCU. I don't know why I said MCU earlier. But yeah, this is very much the Marvel's analog, where we had Captain Marvel, Photon, and Miss Marvel. And here it is just Zatanna, Raven, and Amethyst. And I really love Raven in this sort of position to be with other magic wielders, because we don't really get Raven in those moments that much in universe. So I thought it would have been a really cool idea to have Raven as one of a pillar of the magical essence of the story. I thought that was a really cool idea, and I really liked doing this story in particular, especially finding a way to hint at the Wildcats. But that is it for the Sentinels of Magic. Now we move on to the next one, which is the What If Season 2 analog, which is Elseworlds Season 2. And this doesn't really have a major arc. It just continues to be an anthology series with one episode featuring James Gordon saving Christmas, because he's the Happy Hogan analog, for lack of a better term. Kat Maturi working as a detective in a neo-noir episode, Bruce Wayne landing on another planet, a continuation of the Lois Lane aka Superwoman story, and an episode centered on Cersei as the main character. However, the finale features Superwoman and the Monitor having to work together to fight Khalid Nasser aka Dr. Chaos from Season 1. So yeah, very much what happened in What If Season 2. We'd have an episode of them going back in time, sort of like the Marvel 1602 episode. We'd have something like that. I don't know what it would be. It would probably be the Gotham by Gaslight era that they go to, because that's the more prominent era in the history of DC Comics. But yeah, that's sort of the direction of Elseworlds Season 2. And then we move on to the next installment of the DCCU Phase 5, which is the Echo analog Arsenal. And for the Arsenal story, a few months after the events of Green Arrow, Roy Harper, aka Arsenal, visits the man who raised him, Brave Beau. During this show, we'd have flashbacks of young Roy with his father, Roy Harper Sr. Soon, Roland Desmond, aka Blockbuster, enters the picture and tries to bring Roy into the fold. Roy soon discovers that there is a clone of him and that Roland has bankrolled that clone being made. And the clone's name is James Harper, aka Guardian. Because I really like what they did in Young Justice, how they made Roy Harper multiple clones, and having Guardian being one of the clones was fun to me. And I really like that idea, so I just took that little plot thread and just popped it in here. And Roy must find James and his cousin Jamie Harper and try to take down Roland. And one of the main obstacles in his way is the assassin Cheshire, whom Roy falls for. And then there is another person who helps Roy in the name of Garfield Logan, aka Beast Boy. This is how I'm bringing Beast Boy back, because we've brought almost all the Titans back at this point. I just want to bring them all fully back, and Beast Boy's in this one because I love Beast Boy. But also, we're getting a lot of the Titans back. Arsenal is very much focusing on the backstory of Roy Harper, and we're also starting to get the love story of him and Cheshire, which has an entire child backstory behind that. But yeah, I really enjoy this. I think it would be fun. And also, there's stuff with Roy Harper, with him being raised by a Native American character, that we could have that also incorporated into the story. I think that's something that would be fun, since Echo is a Native American character. And yeah, that is what I would do for Arsenal. Then we move on to the only movie in the year of 2024 for the Phase 5 of the DCCU, which is the Deadpool and Wolverine analog, Grifter and Spartan. And for the story, Cole Cash, aka Grifter, lives peacefully in retirement until Cliff DeWitt, an associate of the multiversal organization in Black Adam, pulls Grifter out of his universe to save it from destruction. And Grifter goes through the multiverse to find a version of Jan Cole, aka Spartan, to save his universe. This leads to Grifter and Spartan getting stuck in a remnant universe with Tau, aka the tactical augmented organism controlling the universe. Grifter and Spartan team up with a group of forgotten multiversal heroes, those heroes being specifically Max Cash, aka Condition Red, The Golden, Caitlin Fairchild, Nigel Keane, aka Hellstrike, and a version of John Constantine from the 1990s, because I don't know if it's ever been obvious to any of you, John Constantine is my Blade analog. So I've just been sitting here, sitting on my hands, waiting to do John Constantine in the DCCU, but Marvel hasn't done a Blade movie for the MCU yet, so I've just had to sit on my hands so far. And also, the Golden, specifically the Golden, are the same kids that were in the Spartan movie that was based off of Logan, so that's the connection there. That's the connection. If you didn't see that, you can go over and watch the What If the Fox Universe was DC, which is basically all Wildstorm comics. So yeah, you can go over and check that story out. And at the end of the day, Grifter and Spartan would be able to defeat Tau and save Grifter's universe. Grifter saves the day, and it's still a separate universe from the DCCU, similar to how Deadpool's universe is different from the main 616 MCU. So yeah, that's the story that we're going with, and that's what we're continuing. And yeah, that's the story. That's the plot of Grifter and Spartan. And that's when we move on to the next installment of the DCCU Phase 5, which is the Agatha All Along analog, which is Malefa was here. Because I didn't want to call it Malefa All Along, because let's just say this one was very difficult, the title, because they changed the title to this show so many times. There was one time I was like, got it. I got it. And it was Malefa Doom Diaries. Because I think it was Coven of Chaos. I can't remember which one it was that made me get Doom Diaries. But the moment they changed it to where it's like, oh, the show's just called Agatha All Along, and I was like, well, I don't know what to call this. So originally I was going to call it Malefa All Along, and then they're like, nope, that's not fun. So I'm just going to say Malefa was here, because that works as well. And so the story is 3 years after being trapped by a mind spell in a small town at the end of the miniseries Meet the Martians, Malefa escapes with Megan Moores, who wishes to face the Martian trials. And without his Martian magic, Malefa and Megan form a team of aliens: Jem, son of Saturn, Norkat, Charissa, and Cyan, to face the trials while contending with Malefa old enemy, the Faceless Hunter. And as we all know, Death was sort of like the main antagonist of the show, not really the Salem Witches. And so Cyan would actually be the main antagonist of this story, and those two would just have a past. And yeah, that's the plot. When it comes to series, I try really hard to try to make the plots really short, because it's a lot easier to shorten plots of the TV show, because I'm not trying to fully focus on everything that happens episode by episode. But yeah, that's the plot for Malefa was here, and we'd ultimately see like sort of a growth of Malefa. And because they did that in Supergirl, where they made the character more of an anti-hero and they redeemed the character, I wanted to go in that direction as well. And yeah, I can't wait to do the third installment of the Martian trilogy, which, if you haven't guessed what it is yet, I don't know what to tell you, because I've made it obvious in what was Meet the Martians and Malefa was here. There was one character that has appeared in both shows, that outside of the lead characters. And yeah, that's the third and final installment of the Martian trilogy. And then we move on to the analog for What If Season 3, which is Elseworlds Season 3, and that is the final season of the anthology series. It would feature Dick Grayson as Batman leading a mech team of the Justice Leaguers, Ted Grant as Wildcat serving as a hero working with a young Alfred, because I want to do a young Alfred episode. I was like, when I was organizing it, I was like, it would be so fun to see a young Alfred episode working with Wildcat, and then just having them just doing wild, crazy stuff. I thought that would be so much fun, especially if you do young Alfred being like a covert operative. I think that would be so much fun. Then there's Kara Zor-El as Supergirl, having to protect a destroyed Earth against the villainous Dr. Sivana. and a Western episode with Jaime Reyes as the lead character, and finally a 2-part episode seeing the Monitor revealing his name as Mar-Novu, dealing with other Monitors, and teaming with Lois Lane's Superwoman to save him. That's me very much just trying to wrap up the show, and similar to how they did it with What If Season 3 of revealing that the Watcher was Uatu finally when everyone was sort of assuming it was. This is very much saying, hey, the Monitor is Mar-Novu, and that's all that. And I think that's a great way to wrap up the Elseworlds series. Next up in the installment is the analog for Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man Season 1, which is the Magic of Shazam Season 1. And this series very much serves as a more kid-friendly approach to the Shazam story. It also features a more traditional approach to the stories, with Billy being raised under Uncle Dudley, and the series would also feature the Savannah family more prominently, and they would be more prominent parts of the story. And it would also feature Dr. Charles McNider, aka Dr. Midnight, in a guest appearance episode. And I just like Dr. Midnight, and since Dr. Midnight is a blind superhero, I was like, that's similar to Daredevil, let's put him in there. And yeah, also because I didn't know what else to do with Dr. Midnight in this universe, and I wanted to put his character in it. So yeah, this is very much the art style of the comic, which I know I have the comic, I think, somewhere. Like, I think I have the art for the comic in the fan-made poster that I made. So yeah, it's sort of that art style for the show, and it's very much geared more towards kids. But yeah, that is that installment of The Magic of Shazam Season 1. And then we move over to Captain America Brave New World, the analog for that story, for that movie, which I've had this story in the chamber for a long time. Literally, when they first announced the 4th Captain America movie, I knew in my head, oh, that's going to be the 4th Batman movie. Because Falcon and the Winter Soldier was Nightwing and Batgirl, so I knew, like, okay, whatever the next Captain America movie is going to be Dick Grayson's Batman. And when they announced it, I was like, okay, I know exactly what I want the story to be. I don't think there's going to be anything in the 4th Captain America movie that's going to change my mind with the story. And there wasn't. So I'm able to do it my way. And so for the movie, it is called Batman Gates of Gotham. And the story is Dick Grayson protects Gotham as Batman with Tim Drake as Robin. However, Gotham's core is rocked by the return of its most violent criminal, the Joker. I'm finally putting the Joker into the DCCU. We're finally going to have Batman versus the Joker. We started this DCCU all the way back in 2008. It's 2025 and we're finally getting a Joker story. I hope everyone cautious, or at least been patient with this thing, because I've been saving this for a while. Dick Grayson would seek help from Harley Quinn after her falling out with the Joker after the Jason Todd incident, which happened in Batman 3. Joker wreaks havoc on Gotham, saying he wants his Batman back because Bruce Wayne died. He wants that Batman back. Aaron Helsinger, aka Amygdala, would serve as Joker's muscle throughout the movie. That way we can have that physical threat of Red Hulk in it. And then Joker would paralyze Barbara Gordon in the film, leading Dick to spiral. So we would have that Killing Joke moment, but instead of it being Bruce, it would be Dick, which I believe would be a lot more emotional because of their connection with each other. And so Alfred, Tim, and Leslie Tompkins would try to calm him down, would serve as like the people's like, hey, don't go overboard. Do not go overboard with this. And that's very much their plot line in this. And the movie would end with a fight between Joker and Dick. Joker would get under Dick's skin, calling him like a fake Batman. You're not really Batman. You're just a guy that's wearing his suit. You were a Nightwing. You were a Robin. You're not Batman. But then Dick would realize that his greatest strength against Joker is being able to get under Joker's skin, unlike what Bruce Wayne was able to do. And so Dick would throw verbal barbs back at Joker, making jokes at Joker's expense. And this would lead to Joker getting off of his rhythm. And this would very much serve as a similar final fight to Batman Return of the Joker, because I very much look at Dick Grayson as a Spider-Man-esque character. The way he acts, he's joking around when he's saving the day. That's very much a Spider-Man thing, and that's also similar to how they treated Terry in Batman Return of the Joker. And so I would just want to have that moment in this film. And so Dick would be able to beat Joker, and then he would be able to send him back to Arkham. And in the mid-credit scene, we would see Barbara setting up shop in the clock tower, serving a new purpose to this mission, very much establishing, from here on out, Barbara is going to be Oracle. As of right now in 2025, Barbara is going to be Oracle throughout the rest of the DCCU. And then in the post-credit scene, we would see Amanda Waller approaching Harley Quinn, setting up Suicide Squad, which would also be coming up in this year. That's the Batman Gates of Gotham analog, and then we move over to the next installment, which is the Daredevil Born Again installment, which is Red Hood, The Lost Days. And this show would very much follow Jason Todd as he tries to find himself in Bloodhaven. He would serve as a vigilante, and we would see flashbacks of his time getting resurrected in the time of, I think, Nanda Parbat, and when he is resurrected, specifically by Talia al Ghul. I don't have Raish appearing in these show, and the main antagonist of the show would be Roland Desmond, aka Blockbuster, as he tries to serve as the new face of Bloodhaven. He's not just being a crime boss, he wants to be the new face of Bloodhaven. Similar to how Wilson Fisk was going to be mayor of New York. We'd get that thing, but he's not trying to be mayor. And we'd see Jason meeting Isabel Ardilla, a woman who would serve as his anchor to good and keep him on that straight and narrow path. And the show would feature Jason working as Red Hood, trying to atone for his actions in Nightwing and Batgirl. And his main threat outside of Blockbuster would be Lonnie Machin, aka Anarchy, who would sort of be serving as the Bullseye stand-in. Shrike, who would serve as Blockbuster's main muscle, similar to the Buck Cashman character. And also, the final main threat would be Burt Weston, aka Film Freak, who would serve as the Muse stand-in. We'd also feature Talia al Ghul, Ubu, and Professor Ojo, primarily in flashbacks. And the show would also feature the characters of Cassandra Cain and Stephanie Brown as people tangentially related to Blockbuster's plot, and Cluemaster would also be entangled in this as well. And again, we saw Barbara Gordon get shot by Joker to take her out as Batgirl, her getting into the Oracle, and now we're seeing Cassandra Cain and Stephanie Brown being introduced to sort of start establishing, we're getting ready for the next Batgirls. And we already introduced David Cain in the Deathstroke story and how Deathstroke and David Cain are connected to the League of Assassins. This is just getting Cassandra into the mix. And Stephanie is more connected to the Cluemaster storyline. All these pieces are coming together. And we'd even have Slade Wilson appear in 2 episodes, having a connection with Red Hood through the League of Assassins. And the season would end with Jason on the back foot as Blockbuster gains more power in Bloodhaven, saying, "Hey Jason, looks like you need to get some outlaws together, you know? Outlaws! Outlaws!" If you're a fan of the comics, you know Red Hood and the Outlaws is a thing with Jason, Todd, Red Hood, and Arsenal, and technically Starfire, but I may change that, and I may not make it Artemis either. I don't know who it's going to be. It's going to be someone. It might be Donna Troy, actually. Anyway, it might be someone. But anyway, that is that installment of the DCCU. Now we move on to the next installment, which is the Thunderbolt analog, which is Suicide Squad. And we all know Thunderbolts had a different little establishing thing. I'll get to it. And we start with saying, for the story, after much work in Congress, led by Congresswoman Etta Candy, she was gone from special agent to now she's a Congresswoman, she is pushing for Amanda Waller to stop all research she's been conducting on metahumans. And Waller agrees, but has multiple operatives, Harleen Quinzel, aka Harley Quinn, Ben Turner, aka Bronze Tiger, Floyd Lawton, aka Deadshot, Matilda Mathis, aka Dollhouse, Pamela Isley, aka Poison Ivy, and Digger Harkness, aka Captain Boomerang, go to destroy all the research at a special facility. However, what they don't know is that their mission is to kill each other. So Deadshot ends up killing his target of Dollhouse, but no one else dies. Dollhouse very much being the Taskmaster character. And they soon discover a man by the name of Hank stuck in the facility. They take Hank and they escape, but this leads to a shootout and an escape. Hank stays behind and helps the group fully get away. And Waller and her team discover that Hank was a surviving test subject from Project S. Bronze Tiger tries to convince the team to go back and save Hank, but Boomerang is highly opposed. They all get a broadcast in their heads from Waller telling them that they all have bombs in their brains, and if they don't want to die, they should get to Midway City. They're able to get the broadcast because of the bomb in their brains. They all leave together. Meanwhile, Waller is telling Hank about the enhancements due to his demise. She tells him about a space mission that Superman failed to save, and that Hank's body was the only thing left. He was enhanced by them. And the group of the team that we have, they get to Midway City with Waller standing next to Hank, dressed in a red and blue Superman suit. Harley tries to speak with Hank, but Hank tells her that they shouldn't resist. Waller orders Hank to kill them, and there is a fight between the group and Hank, but Hank refuses to kill any of them. Hank tells her that Superman wouldn't kill them, and Waller tells him that he's not Superman, that he's more of a cyborg Superman. And bits of Hank's mind begin to unravel, causing him to lose control. And throughout the movie, the team would have discovered the cybernetic enhancements of Hank and created a drive to get inside his head, because we'd show that he's not right in the head. And then Harley would plug in the drive, and the team would zoom into Hank's mind, and there they will learn about what happened during the space mission. The team would help get Hank out of Waller's programming, and in doing so, Hank disrupts the bombs in their necks, making them inert. Once out, the team advances towards Waller, but they're all met with press everywhere. And Waller would tell the press that she's been working with the president to create a new Justice League for the country specifically, and introduces them all as the Justice League of America. And that's the big deal, because in the prior movies for the Justice League, they have just been called the Justice League or Justice League. This specifically is when we are introducing the term Justice League of America. That's the entire point of their introduction. And during the credits, there is some questions whether the former criminals should be even considered the Justice League. And Harley would very much serve as the Yelena Belova character. We would sort of be following her journey the most in this film. And also we'd get that moment of Harley being like, "We own you now," and that moment. And in the mid-credit scene, it would show Boomerang taking photos with people and him saying that he could get used to the popularity and he could get used to being a hero. And then in the post-credits scene, we'd show the team in the Hall of Justice, and Harley would talk about getting an angry message from Batman, aka Dick Grayson. She doesn't know Batman's Dick Grayson, it's just she got a message from an angry Batman. And then they would get a distress signal from a spaceship exiting a multiversal portal that has a symbol on it reading JSA, setting up that the Fantastic Four analog is going to be a Justice Society of America analog. And I'm looking forward to the Fantastic Four movie because I want to see what I'm going to be able to do with that story. I'm excited. But yeah, that is that installment. And then we move to the final installment of Phase 5, which is the Ironheart analog, which is Supergirl. And in the final installment of Phase 5, it would focus on Kara Zor-El, aka Supergirl. And after being on Earth for years, she feels a connection to Krypton that hasn't been there in years. Like, suddenly, she just gets some sort of connection that she's not used to. And this leads her to Midvale, where she called home for a few years. And here, she discovers magic from Krypton being used by a man named William Zard, aka The Wizard. And he works with a team comprised of Ben Krull, aka Reactron, Gail Marsh, aka Psy, Michael Amar, aka Murmur, and Tandy and Thomason Trigger, aka the Trigger Twins. And yes, I gender bent the Trigger Twins. They're not men like in the comics, they're women in the show. And Kara would go undercover as Linda Danvers to uncover how Zard is using Kryptonian magic. And while on this mission, she discovers a Kryptonian device that creates an AI of someone that you just think of. And the device creates an AI of Allura NZ, Kara's mother. And then this leads her coming back to Midvale, leads to her reconnecting with Edna Danvers, the woman that helped teach her about Earth, and Rick Malvern, a man she once had a romance with. Now, in the comics, he's known as Dick Malvern, but I didn't want to have two characters named Dick in my universe, so I just changed his name to Rick. And again, it's a small comic book character. I don't know if people are really going to care. And she soon discovers that a woman by the name of Lena Thorell is unknowingly helping the team of criminals. And it's later revealed that this woman is Lena Luthor, Lex's younger sister. I have not introduced Lena Luthor in this universe. I checked multiple times. She's not been introduced yet. She's in the show. And she despises Lex. Lena despises Lex and wanted a new life for herself. Ultimately, it's revealed that Zard got his magic from a being beyond Earth and Krypton. Zard just wants the power of his father, Carter Hamill, and it was just never given to him. And Carter Hamill is a reference to a character from the Batman and Robin movie serial, because that guy is named the Wizard in that serial. Not connected at all to William Zard. I just wanted to have that nice little connection because I like references. But anyway, Supergirl and Zard would have a battle, which leads to Supergirl winning, and Supergirl would then meet with this otherworldly being called Neron, and Neron promises Kara her one true desire, and then we would cut to Kara talking to Allura with the reveal that Allura is alive and well, and Kara begins to have scars on her arm, just like an Ironheart. That is Supergirl, and that is What If the MCU Was the DCCU Phase 5. We're done. We're done with Phase 5 of What If the MCU Was the DCCU. And now we gotta wait for Phase 6 now. One more phase to wait, and then the Multiverse Saga will be done. I don't know what's gonna happen after the Multiverse Saga. I really don't. I just know that when it's done, and I can just move on to whatever the next saga is gonna be. But what were your thoughts on Phase 5 and the stories and the connections that I made? Did you like them? Did you hate them? Were you indifferent to them? Whatever your thoughts, post them in the comments down below. And I promise I'm going to try to have a video next week with some announcements, major announcements that I'm going to be having next week. But I hope you all enjoyed the video. Please, again, like, subscribe, comment down below what were your thoughts. And yeah, I've been Mr. EliMac, you've been the audience, and I hope you all remember to have a great rest of the day.